We got us a corpse and cartridge occasion.
Now that we have the complete roster for Tekken 8, all 32 characters, I thought it would be an excellent time to divide the roster and see which side every character will be on. Based on all of the little story details we've gotten so far, who's going to side with who? JIN, KAZUYA, or maybe they'll be on their own separate team. There's a lot of characters here, so I'm just going to start off. First, let's get the obvious ones out of the way. So this is a good place to start. On JIN's team, you have a few characters: Lars, Lei Shao Kahn, Alyssa, Harong, Zhao Yu, and Panda. Now, all of these characters are JIN allies and they have been for a very long time. The thing about Harong though, we saw in the Gamescom trailer, he was literally with Lars and he was like, "I'll come too, Lars," and they both ran off to fight whatever threat. So he's going to be on their team as well. For KAZUYA Mishima, you have Nina and Jack 8. This will represent Jack 8. All of these characters, this is their Tekken 7 models because this tier list hasn't been updated yet, so we'll just work with what we got. But Jack 8, Nina on his team. Now let's add some of the new characters. First off, I want to start with adding Claudio to JIN's roster because Claudio is a very sticky one, and eventually, depending on how the story goes, he could branch off and fall into other, but right now he is currently working with Zhao Yu. Zhao Yu convinced him to not immediately kill JIN and give him an opportunity to do something good, to do something great. It kind of mirrors the same conversation that Wang had with Zafina. Give him a chance, let's see what he could do. But the thing about Claudio, he said, if Jin Kazama messes up, I'm gonna kill him. It's over, it's done for him. So eventually in the story, he may break off depending on what happens, but for right now, at the start, he's with Zhao Yu. And the same thing with Zafina. Zafina also was convinced. So Zhao Yu convinced Claudio, and then Claudio convinced Zafina. So that is why these four characters will start off on Team JIN. Next, this is probably a surprise to all of you who probably wasn't paying that much attention, but Feng Wei is going to join Team KAZUYA. He was hired by Nina, and there's some kind of contract, there's some kind of mission. It's really not explained, but they have something that they want Feng to do for them, and they're going to pay him basically a lot of money to do it. You have the rivalry with Leroy Smith that's also feeling his decision to join KAZUYA Mishima. And if we talk about Leroy Smith, I think Leroy Smith probably will join JIN. If he does join the team, it probably will be JIN Kazama. One thing that's very important about Leroy Smith is that New York City is his home. And in Tekken 8, that is being completely destroyed. So depending on who did that, who caused the destruction, he will be fighting against them. Just because we don't have clear confirmation that he is allies with Jin Kazama, even though I believe so, I will put him down in other. And this also goes for Aquamarine. This character here is allies with Leroy Smith. On her coffee mug is Leroy Smith's brand. So that means that these two characters, one, not only know each other, but two, they're kind of like business partners in a sense, right? So that's kind of how that duo works. Wherever Leroy goes, Aquafina is soon to follow. Jun Kazama is another very interesting one because she kind of wants to stop both of them, and it's hard to see that she will be assisting them. So that's why I don't think she'll be on her team. She doesn't necessarily want to see the destruction of them, but she's not really following their plans. So she probably will be doing her own thing. Shahid, this is a character who we don't know much about. We do know that he has a strong hatred for KAZUYA, but once again, we haven't saw any signs of him teaming up with Jin Kazama. We honestly don't know how he feels about him at all. So I'll put him in other once again, but so far this is three characters: Leroy, Aquafina, and Shahid, who could on a dime flip and change to Team Jin in an instant they could change. Leo, another character that KAZUYA Mishima wronged. This character, once again, can flip on a dime and change to Team Jin. Lily and Asuka, I'm tempted to put them in Team Jin because I know they have a rivalry with Fang, and you know, that's going to be kind of a thing that we kind of see explored in Tekken 8. I don't know if Fang will go with KAZUYA, so they automatically will default to Jin Kazama. There's nothing in there that says that they will or they won't. There's a few characters who they could pick a side, but so far in their stories, they're kind of dealing with their own demons. Like King, he's been affected by the war, but he hasn't openly stated who he's joining with or who he's against. One thing that I do want to note, in a Tekken comic, which is not canon, he was hired by Jin Kazama to protect him. Will we see something like that play out in Tekken 8? I don't know. I think it would be pretty cool, but so far, no clue. And then of course you have Steve Fox, Law, and Paul Phoenix. These three characters are the masters of minding their own business. These characters have been in the game since the beginning, well, not Steve Fox, and they just simply don't care about the war, getting involved, or anything, and they just mind their business, and they just try to go after the prize, go after the money, and that's it. Just looking at what their stories has to offer so far, we'll probably see more of that, them just minding their own business, not really getting involved. But if they do, you got to mention that Paul Phoenix was also a person within that comic who was hired by JIN to protect him. Here's a big one. Dr. Boskanovich. In Alyssa bio, it said that first off, she went to visit Dr. Boskanovich because she thought she was having problems with her systems. Every time she thinks of Lars Alexander, her body starts to get heated. Overheat is how they explained it. And she thought that was some kind of mechanical error. She's not used to feeling love or an attachment or whatever you want to call it. So she went to Dr. Boskanovich to get checked out, and basically he told her, no, you're fine, you're okay. But then after that, it said that he helped Lars build that ship that we saw in the trailer, Lars flying in the sky. That's an invention of Dr. Boskanovich. So he's going to be working with them definitely. But then if you talk about one of Dr. Boskanovich's boys since day one, Yoshimitsu also is someone who visited Dr. Boskanovich, and that's who gave him his new suit, all of his new suits. So you can just see here how JIN's team is really stacking up against Jin Kazama. Now keep in mind, there's other characters down here, like I said, who can flip on a dime and join Team JIN. I think it's so interesting how many characters are on Team JIN, and you really got to build up these 4 so far. Like, if you're going to put all these characters against them, then make it worth it. Make them really powerful and like a threat. Like I said, this isn't updated. We only have the Tekken 7 versions to go off of. So I will use Heihachi to represent Reina. So this is Reina, not Heihachi. I thought Reina was going to have her own team. When I was planning this video, I was planning to do a separate team for her exclusively. But seeing that she kind of doesn't like Kazuya Mishima based off how she was talking to him in the trailer, and she kind of likes Jin Kazama, I'm thinking that she might join Jin. That will be a crazy matchup. You have 3 Mishimas going against 1 Mishima. This is what I was talking about when I said you really got to make it worth it. Maybe these 2 characters will start off working together, but then maybe they'll fall out. It's kind of the same thing with Claudio. Who knows? The reason why I put Kuma also with Reina is because Kuma is working with the Mishima Zaibatsu. That's where he got his new fish gun from. And Reina appears to be the head of the Mishima Zaibatsu, sitting on the Mishima Zaibatsu throne. She has the Mishima Dojo. So these 2 characters are basically allies. Long story short. Dragunov, I forgot about him. Dragunov is another character who, this guy's a wild card. They really left his bio mysterious, so we can't say where or what he's going to do. He was pulled off the battlefield, and right now he's currently just doing whatever he wants. It literally said like he has a to-do list and he's just completing that. What that list entails, only time will tell. Brian Fury is another character who's just embracing the chaos. This guy is just a vortex of destruction. In his bio, he did come across some unknown combatant. It could be Yoshimitsu, it could be another fighter, it could be something else entirely. Devil Jin will definitely be on his own team. And it's pretty funny because you think of Jin and Devil Jin as the same characters, but really they're not. The reason why they're different in the first place is because when Jin transforms into Devil Jin with the horns, he loses control. He is no longer in control of his body. And the way that Tekken 8 is kind of painting the picture now, it seems like Jin Kazama is kind of trapped inside the mind and Devil Jin is driving the wheel. Kind of like the movie Get Out, if you guys seen that. Okay, let's talk about Victor. I was very interested to see what this character could and would do, and now that we got a look at him and we know a little bit about his story, it seems like he's going to be not on his own team, but in some way, shape, or form working with Lars. There's a brief cutscene where he's talking to Lars and he's like, let's create a joint operation. I mean, it's clear as day that that's a partnership of some sort. So that automatically brings Raven to his side, and then Master Raven, I wonder if she'll make an appearance in the game. Maybe, maybe not, but let's just throw her there as well. Screw it, let's leave her in and let's talk about the characters who's not in the game, and potentially if they were to show up as DLC or something, where would they fall? Lydia is a character who is going against Heihachi once again. Since she is not in the game and Victor seems to be taking her role as the character who's fighting for justice, it's hard to say where she would fall, but where she ended in Tekken 7 is kind of in like on her own team, her own alliance. Other is where she would fall as of now. Wang would also go to Team JIN. He's the one who initially convinced Zafina to not stop JIN, to, you know, have faith in him, have trust in him. So, you know, Miguel, this guy does not like JIN, and he probably does not like KAZUYA as well. Bob is a character who's probably off doing his own thing, but you could also say he's kind of like a Leroy Smith. He has the Bob Burgers in New York City. You know, this guy's also American, so any attack on America, he probably would not like that as well. Alex is a creation of G Corporation made by Dr. Boskanovich, but is a weapon of G Corp. So if he does appear, he would be on Team KAZUYA. Angel would probably be other, kind of the same thing as Jun Kazama, very mysterious, powerful force of nature. Eddie Gordo will probably join Team JIN because he has a very strong hatred for Kazuya Mishima, and back in Tekken 6 he did work with JIN, but just going based off of that relationship, they probably will work together. And if you're talking about past relationships, you got to talk about Bruce and Kazuya. The only thing about Bruce, this guy may eventually switch. You got to remember, he has amnesia and he kind of forgot who he is, and right now KAZUYA is kind of taking advantage of that and using him for his power. I would put Nina on Team KAZUYA, but Nina is now working with KAZUYA, so you can't have Nina and Nina on the same team. So she either will be on her own team trying to get revenge against her sister, or she will, you know, I doubt she will flip to JIN. I never in a million years would have predicted that, so I'm going to put her in other. Lastly, I'll move unknown to other